Please welcome the director, Brendan Toller, and his producer, Pamela Lubell. Did you want to bring someone else up also?
Yeah, if Justin Strakowski wants to come up. He did all the interviews with me. Great help. Here he is.
So Brendan, tell me about your background and what led you to this material.
Sure. So I had a film called I Need That Record, which I made at Hampshire College. It's a feature-length film about, the importance of record stores in the digital age. And I met Danny through that. This old New York socialite was a grandmother of a girl I was dating. Naomi Rosenblum, who worked with Linda Stein, insisted that I meet Danny Fields. And I was really nervous because I loved the Stooges, but I wasn't exactly Mr. Punk Rock guy. And we had dinner, I did the interview, it was amazing, and I had no idea he did the Beatles quote. And I thought that was it. And then I got these emails saying, no, I want to be friends, and let's hang out more. And then we were friends for about 2 years, and then he said, I got this guy who is going to write a book about me, and his name is Justin Strakowski.
Did he say a bartender friend?
Oh, yeah, maybe bartender friend. And Justin met him at this, what was it?
I met Danny at a festival for Jewish punk rockers called Loud Fast Jews, and myself being a loud fast Jew, I thought I had to go, and I actually thought Danny was dead because in the introduction to Please Kill Me and the later versions, there's one of the authors, Gillian McCain, had written in loving memory of her brother who had passed away, and they had put dedication to Danny on the same page. So I thought Danny was dead, and then Lanny K from the stage with this Loud Fast Jews thing, here's Danny, this little old guy, came up at the end. I didn't know, and they said, "Oh, Danny Fields is here." I thought I saw a ghost, and I decided to introduce myself, and I said, "Hey, I want to interview you." And the first thing he said was, "Oh my God, you're so cute. Of course you can interview." This was before I looked like a Muppet, and so that's. And then he said, "Somebody wants to make a movie about me too, so you two get together and figure it out."
So, Justin, what's the status of your project?
Just beginning, really. Got put on hold a little bit. And I think Danny still has some tricks up his sleeve, so I'm kind of, tricks, pun. But I'm kind of, I want...
You're working on it.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for a book on Danny
So there will be a
Fields.
book on Danny, yes.
Pamela, how did you get connected to Brendan, and what were the challenges of producing this film?
Well, I got a call from a friend of mine, Jason, who is a film distributor and booker, and he said, I met this guy who has a film, and he didn't have a producer, and Brendan went to a meet and greet, and he paid, I think, $25.
Jason introduced himself by saying, he looked at my little proposal and he said, "What's your problem?" And I was like, oh no, because these meet and greets were going terrible. Like somebody from IFC was there, somebody from Radius was there, and they're all just going awful. Like there was somebody who was like, you should call it, he was there first. And I'm like, what is he, like the first caveman? I mean, it's just weird. So yeah.
So anyway, I came from Miramax Films 20 years ago, and I took some time off, and I was kind of producing a Japanese play for a few years, and I met Brendan, and he said, would you be interested in producing this? And I was like, you know what, how much money do we need? And it was kind of, that's the way it kind of started.
So can you talk about the hunt for archival footage for this film?
So yeah, I would say 60% of this is Danny's archive, which is images and then those amazing phone recordings, the audio tapes, and then it was watching every frame of The Doors that ever existed, or contacting the Warhol Foundation because I knew that Danny had been in that movie Space, which has never been released, and they got guards protecting it and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of research, a lot of just looking at other documentaries, looking at other YouTubes, and just kind of trying to find what was out there.
And us digging through Danny's. We spent 4 years going through. I was at Danny's house 5 days a week. Brendan would come in every week for 2 nights. Stayed on Danny's couch for still is, and we dug through his entire. I mean, all those old photos of his family, we scanned. I mean, we were up scanning everything, finding the treasures that we found. I mean, like, you found that Lou Reed tape of, I mean, just things like that as rock and roll fans are just unbelievable.
Well, as an example, talk about that the tape of Lou Reed and Danny talking about the first time Lou Reed has heard the Ramones. Was that something Danny knew existed?
No, there was a tape that just said Lou, November 11th, 1975, and it's a lot about Lou talking about Metal Machine music and getting back into more conventional songwriting with Sally Can't Dance, I think is what came after that. And it's an interview, and then the other side is just like a hangout, and he's talking about how a guy from television rubbed his finger down Lou's back to act like he was gay to get on Lou's tour. And how like Clive Davis passed on Patti Smith and the CBGB scene is over. So Danny's like, well, there's this interesting band I should play for you. It's, they're called the Ramones. And then that's what you hear there. And that's an edited version. I mean, it goes on for another 40 minutes.
And so you find this tape that just says Lou, date 1975. Once you found it, did you go to Danny and say, can you contextualize this for me?
We sort of had a hunch what it was, because when we would digitize, we'd have a little preview monitor, and we were all, you came over, and we were all just like jaws on the floor, like listening, and Danny was kind of like pretending like it wasn't a big deal. He's kind of like walking from room to room and smiling.
Finicky. I don't know if you got that from the movie, but so we would also kind of find things and kind of talk amongst ourselves, like, hey, I found this. Should we tell Danny? Because we never knew.
Is that to say there might be something that he wouldn't want you to have if he knew what it was? Or?
Sometimes it was like stick it up on eBay or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how much can I get for this?
Yeah. I'm glad you, yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up. So the relationship that Danny and I had for the film was basically, he didn't want to hear, I mean, we would tell him how interviews went, and we would ask him like, oh, so-and-so said this, is that true, or what do you think of this? But he never, ever, like, looked at a frame of footage or told me like what the story was, or dictated really anything in terms of like, the story arc to me ever. I mean, I should also say, like, this wasn't a fly-by-night job. This is 6 years almost to the month. To the month that this film has been worked on. I mean, we finished in March for South by Southwest. So he didn't see a frame of it, and then I flew to South by Southwest. He originally wasn't going to go for the world premiere, and then he changed his mind. And then I got a text when I landed in San Antonio that said, thanks, that was great. And I was like, does this mean you watched it? And he's like, yeah, great job. So, and he's kind of coming out of his shell a little bit. We were just in Amherst, where he got to stay, and he did a Q&A for 45 minutes after the screening.
He said he got particularly drunk before.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Bourbon tasting before or something?
Yeah.
So he said it went well.
Yeah, so, and we videotaped it, so, maybe it'll be a bonus. Probably a bonus feature, yeah, it's really good. Some of you are in the audience.
How many people did we interview?
We interviewed, I think, over 60 people, and then that's not even including all the hundreds of hours we did with Danny. I mean, this is 6 years. I mean, the beginning interviews where he's on the couch against the white wall, that was shot like 2 weeks before we were into post-production. Like, finalizing the film in the South by Southwest, so.
And the first interview we did was the bar mitzvah stuff that
we
saw, and we were just laughing our heads off that whole time, because some of that is, I hope, goes in the bonus stuff, because that whole bar mitzvah him narrating his bar mitzvah was just amazing.
Yeah. And there's ancillary stories. We interviewed James Williamson, who was like a whole nother part of the Stooges with raw power, and we interviewed terrible interview with Paul Morrissey, but it's probably funny to watch. He called us communists.
So the release form, he crossed out more stuff on the release form than the release form had. Wrote in his own stuff. Yeah.
So what's next for this group here, Pamela?
I'm working on another documentary, but it's regarding fashion and interior designers, and actually Pamela, our executive producer, is involved with that. So that's pretty exciting.
I have a couple of documentary treatments that I'm writing and looking to pitch and shop around, but I kind of feel like this needs to have a wide release before, It's, I mean,
Your focus is still on this.
Yes, I mean, we've gotten great reviews. We were one of the 13 breakout movies of South by Southwest. Hollywood Reporter, Variety, like rave reviews, and audiences seem to like it. So I feel like I need to be at the height of my powers, when I'm asking for money. So yeah.
And Justin, you're working on your book.
Yeah, working on the book. Danny always said he never wanted something to come out during his lifetime, and I'm really surprised that he watched this and I'm not surprised that he liked it, because it's a great movie. To Brendan, I hope it's amazing, and hopefully I can make a book that stands up to this.
Thanks very much for coming. Thanks very much.
Thank
to the
you,
team.
Tom.
Yeah,
Thanks
Dan,
to all the volunteers, everybody. Thank you.